Last time, we cleaned the floor and painted it with some POR 15. My buddy Gio came over and helped me finish off the insulation on the sides, which took a ton of work and time. Then we flattened and primed the outside to make it ready for paint. This week I started off by taking all the cabinets out of the garage to clean them. I also went out and bought some plywood to make the new floors and replace the old particle board floor under the cabinets and the rear seat. The furniture was pretty filthy, but using some all-purpose cleaner and some elbow strength did the job just fine. Some of the cabinets had cracks to fix, but for the most part, everything was in good shape and now cleaned. Now we could finally move on to building the floors underneath the cabinets. Since I'm not great at wood fabrication, my dad thankfully lent a hand. He's actually the one who built all the furniture in my split window bus. We traced the original particle board pieces onto new plywood and then cut them out. This did take a little extra time, and realistically I could have just used the old pieces even if they were broken. No one would see them under the cabinets, but it is always good to do things to the best of your abilities. In the end, they came out almost identical to the original, but they were made of better materials. Next, I attempted to fix the grill on the back of the stove cabinet. I pulled out my sandblaster and bought some glass blasting media. After about an hour of trying to take the original paint and rust off, I realized that almost all of my blasting media was done, and this project was taking way too long. So I decided to take them to the powder coater instead. I moved on to replacing the water tank hoses. Of course, as luck would have it, something went wrong. While attaching the small vent hose, I remembered a few weeks ago I had broken the barb off of the attachment point and needed to order a new auxiliary fill port. At least the new hoses looked a lot better than the original ones. Now for the interior panel behind the cabinets. Mold, and lots of it. Mold is definitely not something that I want to put back into my van, so I bought some of the same thickness wood at the hardware store, traced the original panel, and then cut the pattern out. To keep moisture out from the back of the panel, I covered it in silver tape. This might actually help with insulation also, but it was mostly for moisture reasons. Just test fitting these pieces of wood that we cut, and those two will go back there and there. And I've already tested them, they fit really well. But now I need to figure out a way putting some vinyl or something on this little corner, because if you see the old one, there's vinyl on it, and that's because you can see it, it's visible. I would have reused this old vinyl for the interior. The foam that was originally on the back has kind of made this impossible to glue down to the new piece of wood. So I went out and bought some vinyl and went with the ostrich skin. Oh yeah. I traced the vinyl out, cut it, sprayed it and the wood panel with some interior glue, and then clamped the edges for better adhesion. The panel was looking great, but before I could install it, that water tank filler port would have to be changed. So I don't know if you guys remember in the other video that I broke that little piece that's like the rib on the end of the stick that comes out for the vent. So I have to replace this box. And of course, when I first bought the van, I thought it'd be a great idea to seal these up with some silicone. But I found out after I used the silicone that I used, that stuff is more like glue than silicone. So all of these things are basically glued onto the car now, and getting them off is an absolute mission. Now with that filler port in place, I could finally get to installing that interior panel. My water tank cabinet is back in. Alright, so I'm going along with my theory of putting this one in first and then putting this one in because I've already ruined the Formica a little bit on the corner over there, and it was a lot easier to get this in without having this one here. The only issue that I have with what I'm doing right now is these wires that I have that stick out of my second battery box where all my fuses and stuff are for all the house battery stuff. They're going to have to be pushed back inside because I really don't think that I'm going to be able to slide the other cabinet in there with those wires being in place. I think this is a much more efficient way of putting back the cabinets than putting that one back first and then this one. The grills were back from the powder coater, and just in time for the stove cabinet to go back in. So as you can see, yesterday was a pretty big day. We got both of the cabinets in on the side, and we started to put together some of the electrical stuff. And I'm going to get back at it right now, and hopefully by the end of the day I'll actually have all of the interior back in. Picked up this pretty nifty tool the other day to help me get to these screws back here since a regular screwdriver doesn't fit, which is like a very small ratcheting screwdriver. I ran all the electrical lines, tightened up the hoses, and tested them for leaks. But of course, not everything went as planned. Well, I just sprayed the outside to see if any of these things leak. I know I should have probably done that way before I put the cabinets in. They do. I don't know if it's just the city water one that leaks, or if it's all of them. So it seems to actually be leaking like out of the inside of the box, right here at the edge where it's kind of seam welded there. I can't really do anything to fix that. The only thing I think that I can do is replace it. So I'm gonna need to take this off the side of the car, and of course since I siliconed it on there with the same silicone that I did this one, it's gonna be the same problem that I'm actually gonna have to break this off of the side of the car. So I used a pair of PVC pipe clippers, clipped it down the middle. I'm gonna have to slowly peel this thing off. It doesn't rip the paint with it. And yeah, see, so this seam just popped right off, or the glue has just rotted away. You can see the water on there. It lasted a pretty good long time. I'm glad that I figured that it was leaking now, not later on down the road when it rusted the hell out of my floor again. While the new auxiliary ports were on their way over from California, I decided to put some new interior panels in. A while back, I put it in order for some ABS plastic panels that'll be replacing my old cardboard and vinyl ones. I found that a lot of the holes on the back of the old panel don't actually need to be drilled onto the new one because I don't have a 7-passenger van anymore. I think that they did that because my van was like, it's a GL, so it had the option of having that other seat in there. They had to put like seatbelt fasteners and stuff in other places that I'm definitely not going to use. Another thing I'm not going to use is the ashtray because, you know, I don't smoke. So I'm not going to be cutting out all of these different holes that are on here. Only the ones that are necessary to hold the panel on and to get like the seatbelts for the back seats and stuff like that. I also opted for the deluxe set of fasteners just because you can take them on and off, and the regular ones you really can't take off. Okay, so now I'm noticing this. There are 3 extra holes here, and there are also 3 extra one of these little rivets. But on the new panel and on the old panel, they do not have holes for them. But the new panel does have little indentations where those holes are probably supposed to go. So I'm thinking maybe I'll use those, because the old panel used to scrape on the fender when I used to open the door. So by putting these here, it'll probably tuck the middle part of the panel in. Alright, well, I've been trying to do this sliding door for quite some time now. I've probably been here for about an hour and 35 minutes. So these little rivets are supposed to squish when you're tightening them, but they don't account for the fact that you're also pulling it out of the hole that it's in as you tighten. So of course it just slips. You can actually see where the rivet has tried to catch the metal right there, that little white line on it, and it just does not do it. I don't know how I'm gonna attach these panels now, since I don't have any other type of riveting system. After a lot of thought, I decided to just try the old fasteners that had been on the car from the beginning. Who would have thought the rivets that came with the car would work? I don't understand why they didn't just supply us with the regular pop-on clips in the first place. They look perfectly fine. They look exactly the same as the new ones, in my opinion. And anyway, I didn't do this. I didn't replace these panels for looks. I replaced them because I wanted them to last. And since mine were cardboard and falling apart, I thought, you know what? Let's replace them with something that'll never break, plastic. But you know, if they're falling off on the first day that I'm putting them on, then it's not worth it. The old clips will work just fine. Well, I guess that was just too easy. Perfect. I removed my old panels from the front doors and decided to use some fat mat insulation on the inside of them. Alright, so the whole door has rattle trap in it now. Man, do those new panels look good. So this is actually a good time to show you how well this fat mat sound deadener works. I've put the sound deadener throughout the entire door. So we're going to tap on the door and just shut it and see how much noise we can make with it. That's pretty good. Now here's the driver's side. To me that's a lot noisier, and this stuff is real simple to put on. I mean, you just stick it on there. It should help with a lot of the wind noise, and it should also help with like the noise when your doors close and anything like that. So it's actually a pretty good sound deadener. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for what's next. See you next time, and thank you for watching.